Okay, so when I say climate change, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably melting glaciers, right? Maybe rising sea levels. But what about a police officer managing a riot over water shortages? Yeah, today we're diving into a front line of the climate crisis that most of us have never really considered: the intersection of climate change and policing. Let's kick things off with a pretty staggering number: $2 billion. That's the average cost every single year of climate disasters in just one country, Pakistan. But look, this isn't just about the money. That number is really the price tag for a crisis that's forcing a massive, and I mean massive, shift in how we think about public security. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that climate change is doing a lot more than just messing with our weather. It's going deeper. It's fundamentally rewriting the very definition of public safety, and with it, the job of a police officer. So, what does this redefinition of public safety actually look like on the ground? Well, it means the traditional job description of a police officer is being stretched to its absolute limit, shifting from standard law enforcement way over into the realm of full-blown crisis management. And believe me, this shift is dramatic. Traditional policing is mostly reactive. A crime happens, they investigate. But in this new climate era, policing has to be proactive. It's about managing disasters, mediating conflicts over resources, and defending critical infrastructure. It's a whole new ballgame. Just look at the scope of these new duties. It's honestly staggering. Police are now managing huge evacuations, securing aid distribution at relief camps, protecting entire neighborhoods of empty homes. They're even mediating fights over something as basic as water. And get this, they're dealing with things like tourist safety during sudden glacier melts. The list of responsibilities just keeps on growing. And here's the thing, it's rarely just about responding to a single storm. Climate events create a domino effect, this cascade of crises where one environmental problem quickly spirals into a whole series of major security challenges. So let's just follow this chain of events. It often starts with something we're all unfortunately becoming more and more familiar with: a severe heat wave. That extreme heat puts an incredible strain on the power grid, leading to blackouts. At the exact same time, it makes water shortages even worse, putting immense pressure on communities and basic services. And when the power goes out and the taps run dry, that frustration can quickly boil over into desperation, which then spills out onto the streets as protests and unrest. This is the exact moment an environmental crisis becomes a social one. And who is on the front line of that unrest? The police. They're the ones tasked with managing angry, desperate crowds, a direct consequence of an environmental event that might have happened days earlier. Climate change is literally creating a whole new landscape of crime. When resources become scarce, you see a rise in things like water theft and land disputes. The chaos after a disaster, that can lead to looting and aid fraud. The social stress of it all can tragically lead to more domestic violence. And that's not even counting the new opportunities for things like illegal logging and poaching. But the security risks don't even stop there. When the official disaster response is slow, it creates this dangerous vacuum. And as this quote points out, militant groups can exploit that vacuum to win public support, recruit members, and turn a natural disaster into a serious national security threat. So, given this new reality, what's the solution? Well, the conversation is now shifting away from just reacting to disasters and toward proactively future-proofing the police force, building genuine climate resilience right into their operations. So how do you do that? Well, it seems to be a four-pronged approach. First, collaborate. Police have to work with environmental, health, and disaster authorities. Second, innovate by using new technology and building more resilient infrastructure. Third, train. Equip officers with totally new skills for these new challenges. And finally, engage. Build strong community networks for early warnings and local support. And what kind of training are we talking about? It is way beyond the standard police academy curriculum. We're talking about managing crowds during resource-driven protests, mediating conflicts, advanced first aid, and even specialized skills like water rescue and environmental crime investigation. We're asking officers to become specialists in entirely new fields. Technology, of course, has a huge role to play here. Drones can be used for surveillance during floods or to monitor for forest crimes. GPS is absolutely essential for patrolling remote areas. And think about the infrastructure itself. Police stations need to be climate resilient with solar backups, and solar-powered communication towers can be a total lifeline when the main grid goes down.
Now, while our source focused on Pakistan, it is so crucial to understand that this is not a localized issue. This is a global challenge that is redefining the very concept of public safety for communities everywhere.
And this brings us to the most critical takeaway of this entire explainer. Climate change has fundamentally crossed a threshold. It's no longer just an environmental issue, it is now a core, unavoidable, and escalating challenge for public safety and law enforcement all around the world. So we'll leave you with this final thought. If we expect police to effectively be on the front lines of this new reality, they need the right planning, the right training, and the right funding. And that leads to a crucial question for all of us to think about. Is your community's safety plan ready for a changing climate?